So I am out in 11 degrees here in Colorado on a little nature walk, and I wanted to talk to you guys about what I am hoping is coming from Nikon in the next couple months, and that is the Z8, the mythical, much rumored Z8, which should be coming sometime this spring or summer, who knows. Again, Nikon has absolutely said nothing about it, so at this point it could never come. Who knows? But so I want to talk about what I'm kind of looking for and hoping for from it, because I think a lot of people have a lot of hopes and dreams on this camera, and I think that I've kind of honed in on what I'm hoping Nikon does with it, versus some things that I think they might wind up actually doing that could be annoying. So before I jump into my wish list, I think you have to kind of discuss the Z8 versus Z7 III. Like, is the Z8 the Z7 III, or like, are there two separate cameras? Will there be a Z7 III? And the truth is, we don't know. The Z7 II, was 45 megapixels, so it was a higher res body, but then the Z9 has 45 megapixels, and we're like, is that kind of the standard now? So I don't think we know whether it's going to be, whether they're the same camera or whether they're two separate cameras. What I do know is that there's no rumors right now about a Z7 III. Let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat on megapixels. Where do I think it's going to land, and where do I hope it's going to land? I mean, I guess I'm always hoping for more megapixels. So if it's like 80 megapixels or whatever, like, as a landscape photographer, obviously more is better, right? But I actually think it's going to land at 61. I think that Nikon's going to get that same megapixel level that the A7R5 has and the A7R4 has from Sony. So I really think that we're looking at a 61 megapixel camera. I guess there is a chance it is still 45 megapixels, and so I think there is a contingency of people who think that the Z8 is going to be literally a baby Z9. So it's going to be a Nikon Z9 with the grip cut off the bottom, and I do not think that's what it's going to be. I think Nikon's targeting more the D850, so a little bit higher megapixel, because remember, the D850 was higher megapixel than what was standard at the time. I mean, it's still high megapixel. It's like 45 megapixels. It's great megapixels. I think they're targeting more the D850, so I think they're looking for higher res, maybe not quite as fast, so I don't think it's going to have the frames per second that the Z9 has. Probably not even close. I think it'll probably be 15, maybe 20. It'll probably be 20 in electronic shutter, but I don't think it's going to have the fast readout. So, and that's another one of my, I guess, wishes, is that I actually hope it doesn't have a stacked sensor, because I'd like for it not to be super expensive. I think that a stacked sensor adds a good amount of cost to whatever camera, and I'd rather have a trade-off of more features than a stacked sensor when you already have the Z9 at high res for a stacked sensor if you want it. All right, well, we stopped at this cool pile of wood / teepee. I'm not sure whether it's like a pile that they're gonna burn at some point, but right now I think you can go inside of it. I guess we'll look in a second. Let's talk about like what I would like on the body design for the Z8. I think they should go ahead and do a tilty flippy screen rather than the kind with the Z9. Personally, if it were just up to me, I actually like the way that the Z9 screen is, where it like flips up in portrait mode. But I think, practically speaking, I think more people like tilty flip screens. I am hoping in a lot of ways what they do is they have a lot of the design features of the Z9 just without the grip. So like the dial on the left side of the camera with the bracketing button and the mode button and the frames per second switches on there, and some of those more tactile features that they don't have on the Z6 and the Z7 series, I think would be very welcome on a camera like that. Again, very much like the D850. And I think when this camera comes out, I think it's going to kind of be a new era for the D850 genre of camera. And so I'm excited about that. And then another design thing that I'd really like to see them incorporate is a completely new battery design. One of the things that Sony really has up on Canon and Nikon is that they have a from ground up designed battery for their cameras. I believe it's the FZ100. Anyway, that Sony battery is small, it's light, and it lasts forever. The battery life on the Z7 and the Z6 series is nothing to, you know, it's not bad, but it's an old DSLR battery that's kind of been reformatted and shoehorned in. I'd like for them to just start over, get us a really great long-lasting battery that can be used then going forward on the Z6 III, Z7 III, you know, all the Nikon cameras going forward. I think it would really, and this makes it as a perfect time, in my opinion, to go ahead and make that switch. It's going to annoy a lot of people if they have a bunch of those batteries, but I think with this new Z8 camera, it's going to be a kind of a new era for Nikon. Okay, so I'm in the little teepee thing. It's actually super cool. I can't wait to bring my daughter. She will think this is such a cool little spot. To kind of wrap up my thoughts on what I want from the Nikon Z8, video specs. It may be a little bit of a pipe dream, but I would like for them to have basically as much as they can get from the Z9 into it. I understand that the stack sensor from the Z9 may be influencing what they can, but if it's pretty much all the same video specs in it, I think that would be really important for Nikon to do. I think that Nikon's trying to establish itself as a all-around camera company, not just a stills camera company, but a video camera company as well. And I think that the Z8 is a really important camera to do that. It's a price point. It's going to be, I'm guessing, coming in more at the $3,800 to $4,200, so cheaper than the Z9 by quite a bit. And I think that's a really important place for them to make a dent in the market with video. And I think having as much as they can get from the Z9, if they can get everything, that would be amazing. I think that would really be a boon for Nikon to have all of the 8K options, all the 4K options, including 4K 120, which 4K 120 continues to be a little bit of an elusive thing for video. And I think that Nikon getting it in there would be really important. Obviously 10-bit, the Z6 and Z7 series still are not 10-bit internal, so that needs to be addressed. And then the last big thing is the autofocus. It needs to be at least as good as the Z9 for autofocus. Honestly, if they could get it that notch better, I think that would be amazing. But at least as good as the Z9 for autofocus. Get that same system in there with the 3D tracking. I think it's a really important thing for Nikon. Again, I think that this camera is, I mean, the Z9 made a huge splash and kind of has legendary status here in 2023. But I think that the Z8 is equally as important because it's going to be that notch more affordable, and it's going to be a smaller body, smaller form factor. It's going to be in more backpacks and in more hands for a variety of purposes. And I think that this camera is really important for Nikon to get right. And, you know, here's hoping that they do. So if you enjoy this more, like, instead of talking about current gear, talking about future gear, hit that like button, and please let us know in the comments what you want out of the Nikon Z8, because I think that I'd be super curious to hear what other people are looking for from this mysterious, long-awaited Nikon Z8. So please leave a comment letting us know what you're looking for. And with that, we'll see you on the next adventure.